On the night of July 5th, 2026, in the middle of a ceasefire, ships in the Strait of Hormuz came under attack. A Qatari gas tanker, a Saudi crude carrier. Within 48 hours, American strikes were hitting targets inside Iran. Within a month, at least 9 ships had been attacked. 12 seafarers were dead or missing, and the United States had blockaded Iran's ports. Tehran never claimed the attacks. It didn't have to. To understand why an attack on 2 tankers could reignite a war, start with 3 numbers. 25% of the world's seaborne oil moved through the Strait of Hormuz, 20% of its liquefied natural gas. And at the height of the war, the number of vessels passing through each day collapsed from around 140 to 2. Not 2%, 2 ships. Behind that collapse sat more than 2,000 stranded vessels, with some 20,000 mariners aboard them. 20,000 people whose job was to move cargo, living at anchor inside a war zone, on floating targets loaded with some of the most flammable material on Earth, waiting for orders that never came. Every tanker that doesn't sail is a refinery somewhere that slows, a power plant somewhere that switches fuel, a price somewhere that climbs. The global economy had built itself on the assumption that this one stretch of water would always stay open. In 2026, that assumption died. And by early summer, the world believed the worst had passed. To understand July, you have to rewind 4 months. On the night of February 27, 2026, the United States and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury, a wave of strikes across Iran that ran into the following day. Among the dead was the most protected man in the country. Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, assassinated. His son, Mojtaba Khamenei, succeeded him. States rarely absorbed the killing of their leader without answering. Iran answered with geography. From February 28th, one day into the war, the Revolutionary Guard began restricting traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, then blocking it outright. The world's most important oil artery shut from the inside. The markets did the rest. March 2026 delivered the largest monthly oil price increase in history. Brent crude broke $100 a barrel on March 8th and kept climbing, peaking at $126. Dubai crude, the benchmark for Asian buyers, hit an all-time record of $166. European gas pushed past 60 euros per megawatt hour, and for the handful of operators still willing to sail anywhere near the Gulf, war risk insurance premiums rose between 400 and 600%. For most, no premium was worth it. That is how you get from 140 ships a day down to 2. For consumers, it looked like inflation. For governments, it looked like an emergency. For the men and women stranded at anchor on 2,000 ships, it looked like a closed door with no handle on their side. Roughly 6 weeks of that was all the pressure the system could take. On April 8th, a ceasefire. Fragile, thin, but holding. In June, a memorandum of understanding put the arrangement on paper, and commercial traffic began to move again. But look closely at the terms. Ships transiting the strait would follow a route designated by Iran, running past Larak Island. Read that again. The world's most important waterway was open, but only along a corridor Tehran drew, past an island Tehran watches, at a pace Tehran tolerated. This was not peace. It was a toll gate. The strait was open the way a door is open when someone else is holding the handle. Shipping companies took the deal because there was no other deal on offer. Every flag state, every charterer, every insurer now had to make the same uncomfortable calculation. Does Tehran's permission count as safety? Traffic crept back, and for the better part of 3 months the arrangement held. Then came the funeral. In early July, Iran entered the official funeral period for Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader killed in February's opening strikes, a state in mourning. And in the middle of it, the ceasefire broke. On July 5th and 6th, commercial vessels in and around the strait came under attack. Among them, the Al-Raqayyat, a Qatari LNG tanker, and a Saudi-flagged crude carrier. Gas and oil, Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Whoever chose those targets chose them to be understood. Because here is the strange part. Nobody officially claimed the attacks. They were widely attributed to the IRGC, and everything about them pointed north. The timing, the location, the targets. But Tehran issued no statement of responsibility. The closest thing to an admission came from Iranian state television, which reported that the LNG tanker had ignored warnings. Ignored warnings. 2 words doing the work of a declaration. Iran wasn't denying the strike. It was explaining it. The message was not that a tanker had been hit by accident. The message was that it had been hit for a reason, and the reason was disobedience. The ambiguity was the point. A formal claim invites a formal response. An unclaimed attack, wrapped in a state broadcast about warnings, keeps the pressure on while keeping the exits open. It is deniability designed to be seen through. For the shipping industry, the distinction between attributed and claimed was academic. Tankers were being hit inside a ceasefire during a funeral. The June memorandum was suddenly worth exactly as much as the paper it was printed on. Washington's answer arrived within 48 hours. From around July 7th, U.S. Central Command confirmed retaliatory strikes on Iranian targets. Not a single night of punishment, roughly 10 consecutive nights. 10 nights is not a signal. 10 nights is a campaign. Iran fired back at American assets in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Jordan, and Tehran claimed direct hits on U.S. military sites. Those claims remain unverified. What is verified is what happened in the water. Mines, attack drones, and GNSS spoofing, electronic warfare that feeds ships false position data so that a crew threading the most dangerous strait on Earth can no longer trust its own navigation. Since July 6th, at least 9 ships have been attacked. 12 seafarers are dead or missing, and the people whose entire profession is putting numbers on danger admitted they no longer could. Maritime risk executives describe the strait as a worst-case scenario, an environment where fear, not data, drives every decision. Whether to sail, whether to insure, whether to send a crew into water where the last warning a ship receives might be the hit itself. This is what separates July from February. In February, Iran closed the strait, and the closure was brutal but legible. Ships stayed out because almost nothing got through. July was worse because the strait was technically open. Every transit was a bet, and every bet was someone's life. By early August, the United States had reimposed a naval blockade of Iranian ports. Hold those 2 facts next to each other. In February, Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz to the world. In August, America closed Iran's coastline to Iran. Blockade against blockade, stacked in the same narrow water, with the world's tankers caught between them. Which brings us back to the night of July 5th. Those attacks didn't start this war. February did that, when epic fury killed a supreme leader and the IRGC slammed the strait shut. What July 5th destroyed was the pretense that any of it had paused. The ceasefire, the memorandum, the corridor past Larak Island. Every piece of that architecture assumed the strait had an owner whose permission could be negotiated. 9 attacked ships said otherwise. For decades, Hormuz worked because everyone agreed to pretend it belonged to everyone. Iran spent the spring proving it could close it. America spent the summer proving it could punish the closing. Neither has proven it can make the water safe. Tehran never claimed the July attacks. It didn't have to. When a quarter of the world's oil rides through a strait that no one controls and no one will surrender, the strait itself becomes the message. Right now, Hormuz belongs to no one, and nobody in Tehran or in Washington has shown the slightest idea of how to give it back.